Okay. All right. So first off, would you both like to introduce yourself formally?
Yeah, sure. I'm Phantom Arcade. I'm Dave. I write the story for the game and animate all the funny little characters.
I'm Ninja Muffin, also known as Cam. I program Friday Night Funkin' and do wacky things on the web. I'll get up to mischief. I get up to mischief. Old
All right.
troublemaker.
Cool. All right. So let's start off with asking Mr. Ninja Muffin over here some questions. I only have three. I tried to think up with more, but if any more come to mind, I'll just spit them out. But so, what's it like to code a game
Yeah.
like this? It's a very kind of PS1 inspired kind of game. That was like the thing. Ever.
Inspired. Well, one thing that is, it's almost business as usual, but one thing about like this game in particular is that like as it kind of grows in scope, we run into like more and more kind of not limitations, but like things oversights either in my code or like some backend code. So it's like as the longer we develop the game, the more kind of issues we run into that it's less about like, oh, how do we implement this game design thing, and more about like how do we find a workaround for this thing. So it is interesting. It is something that usually I do game jam type weekend projects, and I feel like I wouldn't run into these certain issues and know these certain things if I didn't run into those issues or whatever. So it is interesting. It is interesting, but more so because it's like a long term, big scope project rather than a small
All
thing.
right.
I guess that's what it's like to code. This pain.
So I'm dealing with a teacher who knows nothing about this kind of stuff. Could you explain Game Jam real quickly?
Okay, Game Jam is a event. It can be online, it can be physical in the real world, where you spend a very short amount of time, whether it be 24 hours to a week, 2 weeks, or maybe even a weekend. Say it's a weekend. You get a weekend and you need to make a game from beginning to end. And point of game jam is partly just for the fun of it, just to say, hey, making games and finishing them is awesome. So I'm just gonna do that. I'm just gonna make a game and fully finish it and have it out there for people to play. It's just could be just a small little idea, small little thought of a game that you put into reality, and that's kind of the point of it. And brush up on your skills and all that, I guess.
I guess to elaborate just a little further, game jams normally can either be competitions or just for fun.
Yeah.
Uh, and in our case, like the original build of Friday Night Funkin', there are a lot of contests that are hosted online, but you can enter them just for fun, where you will place with like a ranking, whether you sort of care for it or not. So the original Friday Night Funkin' was made in 3 days for a game jam that was a contest. We did get some kind of ranking that we don't remember, but we did make it just for the heck
Cool.
of it.
Yeah.
And to my knowledge,
It
you
was
guys didn't
just
follow the theme at all.
it was very loose. The theme
Yeah,
was
yeah, it was
like
definitely.
stuck in a loop, and it was like music kind of
Yeah, I
loops.
watched a
Good
video
enough.
on that a little.
Yeah,
I think earlier
that
today actually. So.
Yeah.
that's sort of where the weeks come from. The idea of the weeks for the original jam was that they're stuck in a loop because every single weekend on Friday, a new person
Yeah, they
comes to
want to
bother them.
bother. No, you cannot date
Kinda.
her, or just Catman with "Welcome to a place you're not supposed to be in. Now just die."
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So moving on. How hard was it to code week 7? Because that was very like intensive and.
Week 7. Week 7 was scary. Week 7 was
I'll let you
scary.
share your experiences later with Week
The one
7
thing-
Phantom Arcade.
Yeah.
Uh,
Tech-wise, code-wise, the Week 7 experience was like, kind of business as usual, just like adding in content, hand placing and all that, slowly fixing things, as well as like, but the main thing was like the cutscenes, and I implemented those like last minute, and then like last minute it was like, oh wait, these actually do not run that well, and we have to like find a complete new workaround to them, and so we had to like find a workaround in like a week or so. Just that's just what the timeline was. And then it was like part of it was like a solution of like kind of puppeteering them in game with like animation data exported from Flash, and that was like complicated. And I spent like a good like few days to like a week on that almost, and it was like all of that work is essentially like not being used at all, just because the way it is. So it's like it was a lot of work that like I looked into almost very thoroughly, that we just ended up like not doing and not like fully pursuing. So it's like it's kind of that situation where it's like had to go down all these different routes and then backtrack and go down a different route, and it was like that situation for the cutscenes in particular.
that was quite the experience. Yeah, because not only was it a matter of like, okay, we're going to do cutscenes, so then I'm spending an eternity gathering all this audio and making these things, but then it's almost like what Cam mentioned with working on a long form project earlier. It's when we made the original game, we were never thinking about the longevity of it. So the assets, the drawings are all very big.
Yeah.
And the thing that probably could have helped us in the long run is if we had started with like smaller assets, because the game does sort of struggle sometimes to load like very big drawings. But yeah, so we didn't think about that. So now when I make these cutscenes, the cutscenes are all made with giant assets that are now forced in the game to kind of chug along, and we have to come up with new ways to get it working. Yeah.
That sounds rough, to say the least.
Programming experience. Yeah, it's the game dev experience, but we'll chip our way through it. It'll all get done. It's all just engineering. We just gotta find solutions.
A lot of problem solving.
Yeah, it's gotta be clever with all these wacky little things. Right now we have like what we ended up doing was like we made it like Newgrounds exclusive, and that was like kind of the plan. But then also it was like the workaround to the cutscenes was that we made it like MP4 videos that we just like recorded with OBS and like put it in the game. And then but MP4 videos only work on the web browser, just like tech code wise. So it kind of like worked out for us where it's like, oh yeah, it's on Newgrounds and it's got these cutscenes that we can't exactly do on desktop.
Alright, so that kind of explains why it's taken a while.
So it's like that.
No offense.
Yeah.
No, that's
also
fair.
just kind of
That's
take a
fair.
break. Play Mario.
Congratulations on getting that out, by the way. That I played the week and I enjoyed it a lot.
Thank
It was
you.
very fun.
Oh,
So,
nice.
how and why did you learn the code?
I think my brain just kind of works that way, and to some extent, I think it's, and also I like video games. I was like, oh yeah, here's how you make video games, and it just interests me. But I think to an extent, my brain works in this weird way of like I just remember like in like grade 7 or whatever, there was like an assignment. It's like, oh, describe just a simple action. Like, here, how do you make a peanut butter sandwich? I feel like most people would be like, oh yeah, you take the knife and you get the peanut butter on it and you spread it. And I was like, the way I did it, I was like, okay, you open the drawer, you go into the kitchen and open the drawer, you
A lot more.
grab the knife and
a
you
lot
hold
more
it by the handle.
specific about the actions.
Yeah, it's like this weird, it's like
I
twist.
would describe this as neurodivergent, I believe.
Yeah. The peanut butter. You place your left hand on the top and grip it and rotate the counterclockwise to open it.
Very neurodivergent.
It's programmer be like.
All right, so if I have any more questions, I'll come back to
Anyways.
you. Sorry, it's so short, but you feel free to chime in
yeah.
on any of
Yeah,
the
cool,
questions
cool.
I have for Phantom. So, Phantom, what's it like
cool.
making art assets for this game? And also, how hard was it to create the art assets for Week 7? You kind of go more into that.
Yeah. Creating the assets for this, I mean, at the beginning it was relatively easy. I normally make I guess you'd call them short films. I just make small cartoons. And making small cartoons requires a lot of drawings. But my dear friend NinjaMuffin, who I've worked with on many other games that never saw the light of day, hit me up to make a short game, and just to have fun and make something easy, I sort of just came up with a story that was dear to my heart, but also an idea that sort of wouldn't be too complicated. So all in all, doing the art, doing the poses for the characters and other things like that, it sure is like a lot easier than a normal cartoon. The only difficult thing about it really is when you design assets for a game, you have to make sure that they work with game logic. You can't really just draw whatever you want. You've got to be thinking about how it works with the gameplay mechanics you're designing and how it all fits together. I sort of have to share Cam's neurodivergence to make sure that I'm thinking about certain things when creating them. When it comes to creating Week 7, that was really just more of the same. It was only difficult because it was stressful because it had taken a long time and a lot of people were asking about it.
Yeah, everyone was on you guys immediately, where's Week 7?
Really...
Where's Week 7? Where's Week 7? Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's where's Week 8? Where's the itch.io version?
When's the PS1 version coming?
Hey, that's what I want.
Listen, if you guys get that funded, I will buy that immediately. I swear.
You would be both.
So if I'm correct, you work with. I never know how to pronounce his name. How do you pronounce it? Evil Skater. Thank you.
Evil Skater.
So if
Evil
I'm correct,
Skater.
you work with him to create the assets, right?
More so to create the feel of the game, rather, is a pretty good way to put it. It's I will sort of design a character since I'm coming up with the story, and then I'll pass it to Evil Skater, who has this very cool graffiti style. I'm more I like making things look funny. Evil Skater likes making things look cool. So when you marry those two things together, you sort of get this somewhat comedic game that has a bit of an edge to it, which is probably it's much cooler than anything I probably would have made just on my own. There's a thing in the early 2000s called Water Flame, and his art kind of looks like that. But yeah. So he's like a concept artist. I work with him in that regard, and he'll pass designs back to me, and I'll finalize them and then implement them. And he'll also come up with stage locations, sort of just to give the game a more street aesthetic.
More ways than one. Week 4.
Yeah, see, exactly.
What is it like to actually work with Evil Skater?
It's awesome. He's a punk, but that's what you need. You need a punk. He's young blood. He knows what's cool. He knows what's up. So anytime I make a design, it's just I'll just pop into a call, 8 o'clock at night, just eat chips loudly into the microphone and just toss up a new drawing without saying anything. And I'll be like,
Now we can
sick.
get
Now we
moving.
can finish this new level that millions of people want to play. Thank you.
Hey.
He's
Hey,
cool.
wait, it's what we're doing right now. Hopping into call at 8 p.m.
See, exactly. That's how the world runs.
How hard is it to design the original characters in the game?
It's not too bad. I mean, normally it stems from just like some sort of base idea. Like, you know, the original concept is, of course, like a disapproving father who is very evil. So we designed an evil-looking dad, and then, I mean, once I nailed down the original kind of art style with Evil Skater, going forward's also been a lot simpler because, you know, you kind of generally know what everything should look like and also what hasn't been done. So I know for week 4, Kawaii Sprite the musician, he wanted to do what he called like big hair music. So we looked at music videos for musicians like Bobby Brown, sort of based an aesthetic off of that. For week 6, you know, we wanted to riff on classic dating sims. So we got a pixel artist, our friend Mal Ling, and we looked at those old Super Nintendo and PS1 games, designed something like that. It's once you have the core idea down, it kind of just flows naturally.
I just suck at character design in general. I have like 4 of original characters of mine, because I do art a little bit. It's not
Nice.
top tier, but it's definitely got a style at least. So I'm working with something here. So I just suck at character design. So it's really cool to just see these characters like actually like, you know, act out and move in ways, for lack of better terms.
Yeah. You know, it's the funnest thing when you get a ton of friends together. You just sit down, you all talk about wacky ideas, and then you come up with something pretty cool.
Yeah.
Magical.
So, how hard was it making the animations for the guest characters? Pico, Skid and Pump, Captain, etc. Well, not etc., but...
Those?
Not yet, at least.
Yeah. No, those were... You know, I'm looking forward to doing more of them in the future. I mean, every single person on the team is like a diehard Newgrounds fan. We're all like pretty familiar with the mannerisms of the characters, and with those ones, it almost becomes easier because I just, you know, I pass an existing character design to Evil Skater. He sort of takes the helm on those and then passes it back to me, and I just do the finals from there. And since the characters have like a pre-established mood, we can sort of fit that into how they act in the game and come up with their poses. It's really just more of a matter of like, why is this Newgrounds character from 10, 20 in this world?
Why are they here? And what's their purpose for being here?
But even, yeah, exactly. Everybody's kind of got like a little story. But even then, it all just kind of comes together. So I'd say they're easier than the main new characters.
Yeah, it's like a matter of like putting our take onto it, rather than like creating a whole new character from like ground up.
Yeah, cool. What's the process to designing the characters of this game? Besides what you already mentioned, or you can just elaborate on that.
Yeah. So I guess, well, I'll put it like this. So week 6 is a good example. For week 6, Newgrounds has an event called Pixel Day every year. So we knew we wanted to make a level for Pixel Day, which we ended up missing because it got delayed, lol. But then it was like, okay, so we're designing something with pixel art. So what's a pixel art thing? And at first I was thinking like RPG character, but then it sort of switched over to be Like to keep with the themes of like love in the game, it switched over to like
and
dating
also
sim,
wasn't
another genre
Valentine's
of
like just
game.
around the corner or something when it was?
Yeah, see it all just gels. So then it's like, okay, what would a fun character who is in a dating sim in pixel art be? And it's like, oh, what if there's a girl who's clingy? And it's like, well, no, that's been done before. It's like, okay, what if there's a guy who's clingy? It's like, well, that's creepy. It's like, what if there's a guy who's secretly a major jerk who wants to be very rude and condescending to you?
Right,
it's
now we're
like,
getting
all right,
somewhere.
well, there we go. Yeah, and it kind of just follows like that progression. And once again, just kind of sharing it back and forth with friends to nail down the finer aspects. And then there you have it. It kind of just.
And then we got Senpai.
It starts to live.
And the abomination that is the spirit.
Yeah.
Here's a secret. The spirit's face, I lied. It's not Tom Fulp's face. The person who asked that, I lied to them. It's based off the one episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog.
You guys might kill me for this, but I've never seen Courage the Cowardly Dog. I was never there for early Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network. I wasn't there for that. My parents just didn't like it.
No, it's all good. My parents actually didn't like that stuff either. If Courage the Cowardly Dog came on, they turned on the TV, but then I turned it back. But there's an episode with a scary face.
Well, I mean,
so
there's
I was
a
like,
lot
I
of
want to do
scary
it.
faces in Courage the Cowardly Dog. What's the dude? The Return the Slab.
Yeah, Return the Slab is scary. It scared me as a child.
I've seen a couple episodes of Courage though, so. What made you actually want to do art in general for anything really?
Newgrounds, that one's pretty easy. Newgrounds.com. It's pretty much the same as Cam. It's like I liked video games and anime and other stuff. I liked watching all sorts of shows as a kid, and I mean, like the same way that people draw the characters from Friday Night Funkin' now. Newgrounds had a game called Alien Hominid that I played on GameCube as a kid, and I like to draw the hominid all the time. So you could just make the case that Newgrounds got me into art to begin with. So then watching other people's cartoons on the internet, it's like, wow. You don't have to be on television or famous to make this stuff. You can just be on the internet.
You don't have to be someone big. You can just it can be literally come from anyone. It's like in Ratatouille. Anyone can do this stuff and be good at it.
Yeah.
See, there you go. You got it.
All right, time to improvise because a couple questions came to mind. You said you did the story, right? You help with the story? What's it like designing a story for this game? That's very kind of wacky in general.
It's funny. So Cam wanted to do. He came to me saying he wanted to do a rhythm game, which we're both like kind of fans of the wacky Prappa and other stuff like that. And I have not met my current girlfriend's dad yet because he seems to be somewhat of an imposing figure. So at the animation place I work at here at Newgrounds, all my friends like to kind of bust on me. They kind of like to bust on me and say one day I'm going to meet him and he's going to kill me or be very mean to me or that I'll have to defeat him in combat. Yeah, exactly. So the idea just kind of stemmed from that. But then going forward, it's sort of been like, we all decided we wanted to do a Halloween level. So we talked to Sir Palo about having his characters in, or making the mom was taking a while after like we all collectively kind of like wrote about that stage. So then we had Pico assets, and we just decided to put him in early. He wasn't even going to get a level. He was just supposed to be a playable character. Then all of a sudden he's there. We just kind of wrote it in, and I don't know. It just just started
And
off with like
just
one
kinda-
small
it
idea
just kind of snowballed
based
from
on
there,
some
growing,
stuff that's
growing.
going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. Now I gotta think of something to fill the time because we only got.
Here, I'm gonna come up with a question.
Oh, please do. If you guys
for
have anything,
Ninja
please chime
Muffin.
in.
Yeah. I got nothing. No, I'm just kidding. Here, give me a second. No, here. Hold on. There is what? Ninja. I don't know. Ninja Muffin. You talked about before. Like this is like the longest project you've worked on.
Yeah.
And this is probably one of the. Yeah. What do you feel like are the challenges? You know, like expanding your knowledge on coding and working on a long form project. You know, I've been at Newgrounds for a bit, doing this stuff for a while. Granted, this project we're doing is the most intense, but you know, for this is a little new to you. How do you feel about working on a project for so long at this point?
I thought, you know, when I was just like doing game jams, I thought that it would be like, oh no, I'm gonna have to learn how to discipline myself. I'm gonna have to, if I want to make these projects last more than like a month. And you know, there is part of that where it's like I do think I have in the time, you know, since you know this time last year probably. I do think in that time I have gotten better at like programming and have like more so a different mindset, I think. And so that's like one of the shifts, and it's more so like mindset of like, oh, here, I know how to program now. But like I guess like the technical things that would be weird. I don't know. I'm thinking about that iPhone, dog. How are we gonna get it? You know, 52 times 3 amount songs. Each song is like 5 megabytes. How are we gonna get all that onto cell phones?
You guys hit the mobile. You guys hit the mobile.
2
thing.
gigabytes or something of just music.
I actually already have some theories for that, but I'm not gonna bog down this call with that. But that is a good question. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, just like tech things that like sneak up on you. It is weird. It's weird, but as you work on a project longer and longer, the cracks and leaks start to show. The cracks in the system, the wrinkles. It is weird. It is weird, but it is interesting. And I kind of had this when we worked on that Monster Murder Mommy all those years ago. I had the same thing too, where it's like, you know, we worked on that long.
Yeah.
And I had to like, you know, the challenge for that was just like, how do I get like Flash into Hexflixel in general? Like,
that was a godsend though, because honestly, it's like I have a friend here who recently made a game with another programmer in Hexflixel, and I commend their hard work, but honestly, it felt like amazing. I just look down and laugh at their botched way to get animations in the game. That the workflow we established for getting the stuff in with the Adobe animated sprite sheets,
yeah.
it's so perfect. It really is like almost the best it could be outside of just being made in Flash.
Yeah. So it's definitely and that process came out of, you know, not a game jam, but like being able to like dedicate time to that like issue, and like, you know, forcing yourself like, okay, I'm sick of doing it this shitty stupid way, I'm gonna figure out a way to do it good. And then you eventually like figure it out, and now we're at the point where it's like, okay, we have what we have, but now we need to like find a new way, which is like, you know, right now there's all these assets that are like getting big and kind of bloating the memory and bloating the file size. So we need to like figure out the alternative to that now.
More manageable to work with.
Yeah, definitely that situation. So it is interesting. It is interesting how like, you know, you can have like certain breakthroughs and like game jams or whatever, but you know, it is interesting how it's like, you know, it is almost just slow iteration that, you know, you need that balance of both, I guess. He's interesting. He's an interesting little thing. Cell phones. I'm scared of cell phones.
You're about to be, that's for sure. I might as well go into the questions I had for all of you, for all you to just chime in, but I can ask you both and then those two at a later date.
Yeah.
If they can. So what was the original idea behind Friday Night Funkin', and why did you guys decide, you know what, we're gonna put our time into this?
Original idea was basically, kind of what you see from the, OG Game Jam and what the game is now, essentially, where it's like, okay, cool early PS1, PS2 era, cool aesthetic rhythm game. Just simple, note scrolling, copy, Simon Says type gameplay. No fuss, no frills, no like anything crazy. And get my friend Kawaii Spray on the music to make pretty much whatever he feels like, and make a game to that, I guess, was like the idea.
Yeah, I think like if like the original idea, I guess, yeah, like you've seen it with the Ludum build. Also, it's just like, so like what we talked about earlier, Cam and I had worked on like previous games, and Cam also has known Kawaii Sprite for some time, and Cam also saw like the potential in Evil Skater. I think the original concept is just Cam wanted to do a game jam and a rhythm game, and he had some friends that he was in contact with, and you had the good idea to get everybody in a room together and see what would happen. And yeah, I got carte blanche over the cartoon characters and story, and Isaac got carte blanche over the music, and it just happened to go well.
Yeah, I'll say one thing: we did kind of like shove Evil Skater with like background duty in the game jam thing.
Yeah.
But now he's more so like definitely like concepts and characters and like design, like art, aesthetic design kind of stuff. Sometimes he'll like toss out like mock-ups and whatnot.
Yeah. The tank. I will say this, full credit. The Tankman stage, for some reason, I originally envisioned, I was literally just gonna make it. I don't know what I was thinking. I was just gonna make it a yellow background with the destroyed bricks and the buildings. It was Evil Skater had like the good idea to sort of set it in that like Tankman 2 zone with all the surrounding Tankmen and the mountains in the background.
Yeah.
Which is like sheer genius. I was like, you beautiful man.
So he was kind of like not the brains, but definitely contributed a lot to week 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has a good eye for detail, and I feel like that's the beauty of working on a team. It's like that's just something that for whatever reason none of the rest of us were thinking of, and he was there with a cool piece of concept art to offer the idea, and it worked out great.
I actually went through Evil Skater's Twitter today, and I just found out about his art style, and I absolutely love it. It is so cool.
Yeah, it's like graffiti.
It's very cartoony,
awesome.
and I love it. So, what were you? Did you guys expect the game to blow up this big, and how do you guys feel about it being as big as it is right now? Freaking 1 million on Kickstarter in like 5 days. Bigger than Undertale, that's for sure.
Whoa.
Yeah,
that's scaring us by saying that.
Big word.
Yeah, big talk, boy.
I think every time we get like a little taste of it, I think, whether it's like we see the craziness when we first posted the GIF. It's like, oh, whoa, haven't seen this. Like anyone go crazy over something I posted like this before. Maybe this is something, and then like you inch your way, it's like, oh, whoa, everyone's going crazy over the Newgrounds version of the game now. Everyone's gonna. That's like, oh, maybe it can reach the next level. Maybe it can. Yeah, this can happen, and it's like, it is weird where it's like, not that we expect all these things, but they do like come into our heads of like, oh, maybe this is the game that achieves this amount of success, and then it's like, oh no, this thing did happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of get those like thoughts too. Like, this is gonna happen, and then it doesn't. And it's like, well, I wasn't expecting it to happen, but I can't say I'm not disappointed.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I think one thing I would want to make crystal clear, and I think that this is genuinely the best way you can be. I think once you make stuff for like years, you're always kind of like you eventually get into the mind frame where you almost don't care how it does as long as
Yeah.
it like reaches a small audience. So at that point, like you reach a point where some things maybe you are doing to reach like a higher plane, but some things you just throw out there for the heck of it. Like I've done collabs with Newgrounds where I'm kind of hoping that those get like a certain amount of views, but then sometimes you just work on projects with friends where you go into it and it's just for fun. You expect nothing. So we made the original game, like genuinely expecting nothing, just expecting to please ourselves.
And maybe a couple other people who come across it.
Yeah. And Cam posted the video. He had the good idea to do that, and it surprised us, and it did well. And once we saw that it did well, we're like, okay, well,
Yeah.
we don't expect anything. We don't even want anything really. But if this did happen, maybe we would follow it up by doing this, and then we did that, and it reaches this new level where we're like, wow. We didn't expect that, and that probably won't last. People probably, they probably still just don't want it. But I guess if it keeps going, we'll do this, and then we do that, and it goes to a new level. It's like, well, man, that didn't expect that. Well, you know what? We'll, I guess if it can do this, no harm in trying, and it just so far that hasn't stopped happening.
Yeah. It has been a situation where it's like every single expectation we've pretty much ever had has definitely been shattered. Definitely been like there's very few things that are like, oh, maybe the game can this, because it's like it's like one of the early things is like, oh, can it even break 1 million views on Newgrounds? It's like, oh, we did that. It's like, oh, can we get past Binding of Isaac? Oh no, we did. Can it get past Alien Hominid? And all this time later, past Alien Hominid, and now it is weird where it's like we are like pretty much in terms of Newgrounds and our expectations of like Newgrounds and Newgrounds culture, it is essentially at like definitely like one of the top games, and it is weird that like it's like where do you even go from there in terms of like Newgrounds? It's like I don't know. It's like
to really put it in context, it's like the original Alien Hominid was like this. The web version was this breakthrough game that once again, Tom Fulp and Dan Paladin, they made it for their website to give it content, but they partially made it for fun. I don't know how much they were really expecting from it, and then when that blew up, I'm pretty sure the story goes that like they reworked all their finances to put money into making a full console game. And it was unexpected. It was like a landmark success. And we joked with Friday Night Funkin' like, oh, well, maybe, once we saw that our game had like 7 million plays on Newgrounds, like, well, maybe we'll pass Alien Hominids. What, 21 million, 22 million?
21 million, yeah.
It seemed like it seemed impossible, but we just sort of would like snicker and laugh and wonder if just maybe. And now it's history. We're past it. We're already passing other games too.
It's kind of like one of the biggest thing on the site right now.
Yeah, and it's like to put it into perspective. It's like Alien Hominid, like landmark indie game, one of the first like indie games on console.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, we've slipped past that.
What have we done?
Yeah, and now, and like we'll talk about like, oh no, what it's like, oh, what if Friday Night Funkin' becomes this case study, this like things that people look on and say, oh, whoa, this is what they did, and it's like I feel like that's definitely going to be the situation to some extent, where people see the different like aspects of the game, whether it's like how it like spread online at the very least, because the game is very viral, and I think we achieve that virality in means that people definitely did not consider. Like the game like took off like TikTok, and it's like, how do you make a video game like viral on TikTok? It's like most, all these like big companies are like, or like they're focused on like streamers and YouTubers, but that's almost like 5 years behind, where it's like 5 years ago you could have gotten like a huge game off like live streams and let's plays, but it's like, and you still can to this day, like that absolutely does help, but it's like,
But there are new ways of doing it.
yeah, there's new ways, there's like new alternative ways, and it's like, and it all depends on like case by case basis. This game's very musical, so that lends itself to TikTok very well. And
Considering it's just ripping songs.
yeah, it's very, I don't know, very very interesting little thing of like all these different aspects of the game that's like, oh no, people are gonna look at this game now and see. They're gonna analyze it like weirdos.
So what challenges did you guys face during development? Like any like
aside from like, just kind of pure work or whatever, one thing is like, it has been like a hard shift into, it's like, oh no, this has definitely like changed my life. Like the way I interact with people online, it's just probably changed forever now. I'm not just this dipshit tweeting out randomness to avoid now. I got, I need to like be mindful of different certain things. So it's like, there's stuff like that, and just kind of leaning into like, oh no, this, I guess the pressures of like working on a big project like this. It's definitely
and the stuff, and not to bring anything up, but the stuff that happened
Cool.
earlier start.
Cool. Yeah, stuff like that where it's like, it is something that like very, and I feel like a goon when I say this, but like very few people will like, there absolutely are like struggles of success, like it's.
Oh, look! They made it big, and he's crying with their money in your hand.
Luckily, you're tear, but
Just aside, it's not just like crying and like piles of money. It's genuinely kind of like hard to keep up with everything, and
well, it's
how do you keep on top?
I will say, like, I'm still pretty much stealing your thing here now, but like, no, I mean he is right, and it's really weird because I don't know that there. People who like heckle us now, like somebody like you is just very like nice and just like very earnestly just asking for like a small thing, but then like there are some people who sort of feel a bit more like entitled to like our time and work, so the things like that sort of just like play into just like the overall pressure. We are like seeing what people say. I think sometimes people might not realize that. People might not realize that, like, we're just two guys who kind of can read what people write.
Yeah. It's like...
I was having backups being made of ideas already, because I wasn't expecting anything to actually come out of this.
Hey, that's the best way to go.
I'm very grateful for you guys, for both of your time.
See,
but I wasn't really expecting this to actually happen.
See, just like us.
Thank you so much.
It's the expectations, man. See, look, if you expect nothing, when something cool happens, you'll be like, wow, this rocks.
Yeah, pretty much. So how do you guys feel about the Kickstarter? Again, like 10 million in like, not 10 million, sorry.
1 million.
Imagine, 1 million in 5 days. That's insane. That like, again, that beats Undertale. That got like what?
Oh yeah.
How much did they get? Like 5? No, they got like
Undertale got like 60K, which is like very, for like a
really good
1 person, 2 person dev. That's like, good. That's like what we were aiming for essentially. Where it's like, okay, we have 4 people, 60K that'll last a year probably, if we're being cheap with our money.
And if our game had no publicity, I think maybe that's might have just been what it got if we were lucky.
Yeah, but we did expect that it would like break that. We did know, but I feel like we did have like crazy, not high hopes, but like, or even expectations, but like oh hey, like I think the thing is that we've seen just things go crazy, like firsthand. Everything with Friday Night Funkin' has gone crazy, so it's like we know that expectations absolutely can and will be broken. So I think it's like a matter of like we had our own expectations of what the project would get on Kickstarter, and I feel like maybe that was even broken. I don't know about you, Dave, but I was like, okay, maybe if it's at most we'll get like 500,000.
Yeah,
I was expecting that.
It's funny when it posted, like I was like, okay, if we get over this much, that's cool. And at the same time, if for whatever reason we don't even make our goal, I'm fine with that too. I don't know. It's just I was resolved for just either or, extreme success or extreme failure. I just like, so it's all good no matter what.
Yeah, it's been
And now you guys passed erect difficulty, about to like not too far away from the 10-week epilogue.
Yeah.
Rest in peace to Kawaii Sprite, by the way.
Rest in peace, Kawaii Sprite. Lol.
Everyone's praying for Kawaii Sprite. We gotta make those weeks also. We gotta do all the art and programming.
It was like 10 epilogue weeks. Dang, it's funny. I wasn't sure we'd get there. Honestly, it's a good thing I have something in mind.
You're kind
Let's
of
get the PS1 port, baby.
I want that so bad.
Yeah.
God, I'm serious. I will buy that immediately.
Yeah. Yes.
How long was the game in development before? Well, that's already been answered. It was like a weekend.
Yeah, 3 days.
So let's move on. So beyond the canonicity of the mods, how do you guys feel about the mods, and what mods are your favorites if you had to pick one or two?
Mods have been awesome. The one I always go to and say is my favorite is the Friday Night Funkin' but bad.
Yeah,
that
awesome.
one is really good. I haven't played it yet, but I gotta.
Yeah, no, I think the mods are sick. I think like I never would have expected that like they'd take off as hard as they did. It seems like certain people are almost like gaining like I would say cult following. Certain people are just gaining like legitimate crazy followings, just like making like mods.
Yeah.
And that's insane to see. I'll say this, like I feel pretty proud that like all these people want to replicate my art style and like maybe even the humor to an extent. It feels pretty cool. It feels pretty cool to see all this stuff that's like made sort of influenced by my stuff. And at the same time, I feel very proud of Cam. It's like NinjaMuffin here, he had the idea to make the game open source, which I don't know. I would have just never thought of that. And so like all the mods in a way exist because of that one decision.
Yeah, because there's all the like crazy mods like Witty, Midfight Masses, Tricky.
Midfight Masses is so cool. That might be my favorite.
Midfight Masses is swaggy.
Oh, by the way, speaking of mods, I have to ask this. Have you guys seen the Matt mod?
Matt mod is cool. Matt mod is awesome.
Oh, you know what this is? What is it?
It's the Wii Sports Trainer, dude. Have you seen that around?
Oh, the Wii Sports.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right.
My hands hurt. just thinking about it. I beat it.
Oh, nice.
I just beat Matt today in sword fighting.
Oh, dang. Look at that. Cool.
Interactive. Yeah, that mod has, it's just called like Matt mod, so it's like like who's Matt? Is that the dude who made it? Who is Matt? So like when I saw the mod before I like knew what it was called, and it's like oh wait, I've seen that mod. That mod's awesome.
That sounds cool. Now I want to try it out. You guys have sold me.
Good luck.
Well,
Also, rest
thank
in peace to your fingers.
Played some rhythm games before. I think I can handle it.
Noob.
You're not ready. Anyways, so back on topic. What's it like working on a team like this? Just like 4 other people, occasionally bringing in some people to help with some of the finer details, but mainly it's just you 4.
Newgrounds, baby.
Feels right. It feels Newgrounds.
It's Newgrounds.
Yeah. It's not.
It feels like Newgrounds.
It's not like studio. It's not like, oh hey, here's the producers. Here's the It's like it is very indie. It feels just like working on a school project with your homies, right? Or it's just.
Such a big project. You guys took down Newgrounds. You guys blamed it. You killed it.
I guess closest thing is just like, it's just like a cool school project. Cool school group project. And like one of those group projects where it's like, you make a video or something so you can just like go crazy with it. It's like that. That's what it feels like.
It's pretty fun. Pretty sweet. I mean, like we're working with people that we've been working with and making stuff for years for free with. Like Johnny Utah's helped out. I've recorded tons of cartoons at Johnny Utah. Cam, you've got. I mean, literally, Cam, just the fact that you hit up me and Isaac, like just dudes that you knew. It's like, it's all just. We're just hanging out with the same dudes we've been hanging out. We're just making this thing that's happening to go nuts.
Yeah, but still getting that fresh blood. We didn't even know Evil Skater before we worked on the game jam.
That is true.
So it is that fresh blood. It is that fresh blood. It is interesting. I feel like we wouldn't have interacted with him. Maybe we'll see him floating around Newgrounds posting art. But I feel like otherwise, this game definitely brought us and him together almost in that sense.
Now he's in the top 10 on newgrounds.com.
Hey. Yeah.
He started from the bottom.
Got 20 fans.
Now he's got over 20,000.
This is the guy who just started on Newgrounds actually posted the first thing on Pico Day.
Hey-o.
Hey, hit me up on Newgrounds. I'm joking.
I liked your tweet today, Cam, where you said it's not like you brought up that Isaac's only been, or Quiet Sprite's only been on Newgrounds for 2 years, and now he's in the top 5. It really is never too late.
That one.
Yeah. It is like anything can happen with Newgrounds, for real.
It's like Mario Kart. You can be in last place and then randomly just find yourself in first.
Yeah.
Blue shell, baby. I had a question I want to ask, but I forgot it.
Well, I guess you didn't really want to ask it.
I know I really wanted to ask it. I'll make sure to write down anything else. But we're kind of nearing the end. I've got an hour of footage, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Especially since I still have the other 2, and I got to condense this into 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be.
I will
say,
unfortunately, I am not sure that Quiet Sprite or Evo Skater will be available for interviews.
That's fine. I can work with just you 2, and it should work fine.
Yeah.
I'll find my way around it.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
So I guess to finish off, anything you'd like to say to the people out there, not just about Funkin, just in general, people who want to start doing art, people who want to start coding, music, whatever, just people who want to start making something, or just people who like the game in general. Anything you want to say to all of them out there?
Want to go first, Cam?
If you want to make art, if you want to do anything, the best way to do it is find people who are like-minded. whether it's your local community, local area, school, anything, or even Newgrounds. Newgrounds is a good place for that. And just
Yes.
Everyone go visit Newgrounds.
cook up some
Ding.
stuff together.
Newgrounds. Bling bling. Yeah. If you want to get into this stuff, I say just like dedicate. I don't know. Just start putting some time into it. Start checking it out. Try some tutorials. See if you like it. Give it a chance. See if you can learn something. And yeah, I'd say like, I do know a lot of artists who are kind of like, oh man, when will I get my big break, or how do I move on to doing this on like a larger scale? And I think that some of them try to turn themselves into businessmen before they've even really gotten started. And I guess my message is just, yeah, pretty much what Cam said. Just meet people, try new stuff. You'll
Have fun.
Yeah, have fun, make something altruistically. And I think that if you're making something with, like-minded friends, I think it's going to turn out maybe bigger and better than you'd ever have thought. So that's what I say.
Talent isn't real. It's all hard work.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like there's a lot of people who get like discouraged when they're not good at something and be like, oh no, I guess I'm just never going to get good at this. But it's like, pretty much everything I'm good at, I absolutely like started from the bottom at, like, just, not even just a few years ago. So it's like it is just put time into it and you'll get better. And it's like Shia LaBeouf. You're going to get to the point where anyone else would quit, and you're not going to stop there.
Yeah. And building on that, it's back to circles back around where, like, I think if you genuinely believe in what you're doing and you're having fun with it, then you're not going to quit.
Yeah.
Because you're going to reach that point where, like, if you're doing it just for, like, money or, like, a career or something, you probably are like, well, this sucks, I'm done. But if you're doing it because you actually want to do it, then you're never going to stop, and I feel like you'll make it eventually. Like Isaac.
Yeah.
Tell Isaac's story.
Isaac working in a sandwich shop 7 years straight and making music for 10 years straight with no big break. Two listeners on SoundCloud. Yeah, 2 listeners on SoundCloud for like 10 years straight. And then, he finds Newgrounds, and he gets in touch with people like, me and our pal Wanda, and we just become friends with him. And then it's just a much more pleasant, creative experience. And just making things. Not to say that when he was making things, he was unsatisfied or unhappy with, but it's like, I don't know, like he did it because he loved it, and that's why he's done it for so long, and that's why he eventually got to where he is now.
Yeah.
Because he just loves making music.
It fits the logic perfectly. He did it because he believed in it and liked it, so he never gave up, no matter like whether he's making money off of it or not.
Yeah.
And then when he met like friends, him and like the friends that he met ended up making something like larger than he had ever expected. And now look at him now.
Yeah.
It's not just people. It's not just random. Well, it is random, but it is also like, it's like Isaac pretty much did fully give up the dream of like, success. Like he was fully expecting like working at the sandwich shop for the rest of his life, but he was also like, okay, I'm okay with that because I still got music and I'm still gonna make music, and that's what makes me happy. That's like Isaac's story. That's like his thing.
And it's kind of the anyone can come from anywhere thing.
Yeah.
It's Ratatouille all over again. Favorite Pixar movie. Let's go.
Mamma mia.
Yo, good luck condensing this all into 10 minutes, dude. You're gonna get an F on your project. You were so stupid for interviewing us.
You said earlier that I would get an A. It's full circle, man.
Oh yeah, I did say that. Sorry.
It was fun. This was fun. This was genuinely really fun.
Yeah.
And thank you again. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to do this.
Yeah, man. Thanks for reaching out.
So yeah, trying to think of any closing thoughts here, but I think I kind of covered everything.
Newgrounds.
So...
Newgrounds awesome.
Newgrounds awesome. Let's end it on that.
Newgrounds awesome.
Yeah.
Newgrounds awesome.